It's Wednesday, May the 27th. Lake level's 930 and a half, still rising. They did open some floodgates and starting to release some water today. But, Beaver Lake's about a foot from being plumb full, and we can only take about another foot and a half in Table Rock. And I think Bull Shoals is probably within a couple feet of its maximum. So they're going to have to start opening some floodgates, probably flooding out some people further down on the Mississippi. But, like I say, they're starting to let the water go right now. But, for the most part, there's a lot of debris out on the lake. When it gets this high, everything that's up on the bank starts to float out. And there's some coming in on the river arms. But I by no means found the lake unsafe. You just got to be careful with the stuff that's out there floating. And you got to be careful when you get around a lot of these boat docks. There's electrical lines, cables, different things. If you're getting in behind some of these docks that have not got pulled up to the bank, just be careful if you get behind them. But, water temperature, it's still about the same as it's been for the last 3.5, 4 weeks. It just really can't seem to get into the 70s. It's low 70s, but it just can't seem to make it out of there. But, fishing, topwater bite has been probably my strongest pattern. It's been working real well. And I think now that, for a couple weeks, they haven't generated any water. That's why the lake had come up so much. They hadn't been running any. But now that they're running water, I think a lot of other bites are going to come into play. But, today I was down there by the dam, and them smallmouth were just choking a topwater. We've had a lot of really good days where it's been overcast, clouds, and, a little bit of wind. But, like I say, in this time of year, the post-spawn is when the topwater bite's at its best. And it seems like most of the water's still pretty clear, unless you get up into the river arms. That's where the topwater bite has been the best for me. A lot of the fish, I'm catching post-spawn fish. Basically them fish get out there and start to rest up after they get through spawning. I'm catching some pre-spawn fish, some fish that have not spawned yet. And I don't know, if the fish got kind of messed up with the water coming up so fast that some of them may not spawn, but some of these fish you can see they're still, full of eggs. They're chunked up, and we're catching several with bloody tails that have just got off the nest. But on the topwater baits, a little bit of everything's working. Probably more wake baits is working a little better for me than anything. And, there's a lot of different baits that are considered wake baits. We always talk about the jointed redfin, and, I've got some, but I don't have one right here. This particular one I'm throwing is a Storm Thunderstick. It's just like a Cotton Cordell jointed redfin. Strike King Wake Shad. A lot of the baits working real slow on the top, like a walking bait, either a Zara Spook or this is a Strike King Sexy Dog I like to throw. Pop-Rs, Splashes, but it seems like you want to get the bait to make a lot of noise, but not move very far. Like, I'm not finding a Whopper Plopper to be very effective. It seems like I say, the baits that are moving a little slower, making quite a bit of noise. Some of the fish, every once in a while, you'll see them schooling. Other fish, I'm fishing the edges of and the fish are really scattered with this water. There's some at the edge of the bushes, some in the bushes, behind the bushes, and, some out on a lot of the main lake bluff ends and deeper transition points where the post-spawn fish normally go. They start moving back out to points, especially they got deep water on, one side. And they just go out there and suspend. So a lot of times they won't come up from the top water, and baits that we've been having a lot of good luck with is we're throwing like 3.2 up to a 4.8 swim baits on different style heads. This is just a regular swim bait head, and I'm throwing, it's about a 4-inch. This is a Zoom swim bait. Another one that's been working real well, this is a Lucky Strike Scrounger head, and this has got a caffeine shad, or a fluke, a Magnum fluke will work as well, and then even the real big fluke will work. And these are working real good in a lot of these areas where you can see the fish suspended out there over that deeper water. and even along the edge of the bushes and trees. See, right now, the edge of the bushes and trees got anywhere from 12 to 15 foot on them because the water's so high. We're just getting that bait down about 8 to 10 feet, reeling it in real slow. Spinner baits will work in the same area, get the bait dropped down. Spinner bait will work up in the bushes. Been catching some fish also on chatterbaits. My bottom bite hadn't been real strong. It's like as far as a Ned rig or a tube or a jig, but I believe that's going to get better now that they're moving water. And what a guy wants to key on when they're moving that water is just try to visualize which way the water's going. Take a main lake point and you want to fish, it would be like the inside point. Any place where the water's cutting across a point, or if there's an island, especially if it's got a narrow, like where it chokes down, where the water's going to be coming through. Any place that's going to create like an eddy or a good current break, especially where there's like in front of an island. If there's deep water, then it shallows up like almost similar to like a ledge. But then fish are going to stack up on those places, and top water baits will work in there. The bottom baits if it's not too deep. And another bait that's going to come into play is a crankbait, like a Series 5 or Series 6 Strike King or Fat Free Shad. Something that runs down, 12 to 16 foot. Once them fish start to stack up out there, and there'll be a lot of different fish out there. A lot of times when they're moving this much water like this, them walleye will get out there, same place, the bass will get out there. Now, I'm sure there's some fish way back in behind the bushes, but where I've been guiding pretty much every day this week, sometimes it's hard to get back in behind it with 2 or 3 people casting. But a lot of the fish I'm catching out on the top water and the swim baits have been mainly smallmouths if I'm down there by the dam, and if I'm further down lake or up lake, up in the river arms, it's been more Kentuckies and smallmouth mixed with a few largemouth. I think a lot of them bigger largemouth are still yet to come out, and I think a lot of them are buried up in all the brush. There's so much cover in the lake, to fish right now. But if I was to get in there and fish the bushes, I'd try to get, like I talked about last week, something that's a little bit different, a little bit of isolated cover. A lot of the keys to my topwater bites, there's bait in the area, and the shad are spawning the first couple hours in the morning. They may be up on the bank or up around some of the deeper boat docks, and that should continue for another week or two. But a lot of the points that we're getting multiple bites on a topwater, you'll see a lot of bait out there as well. So the fish are definitely keying on the bait, out there on these points where they're suspended. And, that bite should just get better. Like I say, I don't think by any means the fish are done spawning. We caught some fish the other day on a Ned rig and a tube that were in probably 20 foot of water that looked, they acted like they were spawning. They'd pick the bait up and drop it. But, once we got them in the boat, they had not spawned. They had, big old bellies. And I don't know whether them fish were on beds when the water come up and just stayed there. Or a lot of times in that real clear water, these fish will spawn, 15 to 20 foot deep. So I think there's still some left to spawn. Still a little bit of everything going on. If you get out there in the lake, like I say, there's a lot of debris out there. Just be careful. It's getting to be a little bit of an issue finding a place to launch a boat, because we're having to launch the boats out of a lot of the parking lots. So, parking is kind of at a premium at some places. There's no problem launching the boat. It's just a problem where you're going to put your tow rig. But until next week, good luck, good fishing.